This week, President Cyril Ramaphosa has received the interim report of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. While the report has not been made public, the testimony heard so far has already exposed deep divisions within the South African Police Service and unusually direct allegations by senior police generals against one another and against the political executive. Today, we unpack what's emerged so far, who made allegations, what those allegations were, and how those accused have responded. This includes testimony from the National Commissioner Fannie Masemola, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, as well as closed session evidence from witnesses C and D. We'll also examine the response from Minister Senzo Mchunu, Julius Mkhwanazi, Brown Mogotsi, and others. Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Musia. Let's get right into this. The first public hearings of the Commission took place on September 17, following several weeks of delays due to logistical setbacks. On that day, Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga, the Commission chairperson, reminded the country what was at stake.
If the allegations are proved to be true, that spells doom for South Africa's criminal justice system. A healthy criminal justice system is key to the rule of law and, in turn, to a functioning constitutional democracy. With a criminal justice system that is populated by malleable and corrupt functionaries, many criminals, especially those holding positions of influence, will rarely, if ever, answer for their criminal deeds. Also, malleability, corruption, and dysfunctionality in the criminal justice system are at odds with what we, South Africans, expect of and are entitled to from a criminal justice system. At the center of any functioning constitutional democracy is a well-functioning criminal justice system. If you subvert the criminal justice system, you subvert the rule of law and constitutional democracy itself. The subversion of the criminal justice system may take any number of forms. Without purporting to be exhaustive, it may come as downright intimidation. It may consist in improper promises or inducements. It may take the form of corruptly influencing the decision-making or functioning of those responsible for the smooth running of the system. All these forms and others are a cancer to what a proper criminal justice system should be. Ours from today onwards is to investigate whether our criminal justice system is what it should be or whether it has been infiltrated by criminal syndicates.
However, before we proceed, let me remind you why the Commission was established in the first place.
The proof of payment, we have it. As I said, we're going to share with you where Mr. Nhlanhla is sending this proof of payment to Mr. Brown Mogotsi. On the 2nd of January 2025, at about 10:05 in the morning, Vusimuzi Nhlanhla receives a copy of the letter of the disbandment of the political killing stars team from Mr. Brown Mogotsi, who is an associate with the Minister of Police. I pause to remind you that this is the very same Brown Mogotsi that the Minister of Police had denied in Parliament and later confirmed to be his comrade but not involved with police matters. But he's sending this communication. That's what we have discovered through the investigation. On the 14th of January 2025, Mr. Brown communicates with Mr. Vusimuzi Nhlanhla as follows, I quote, "Sure, don't forget to work on your invoices." On the 15th January, Mr. Vusimuzi Nhlanhla responds with a screenshot of an invoice that he has submitted to the South African Police Service, which I guess was due for payment on his contract. On the 26th of January 2025, Mr. Brown Mogotsi sent a message to the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, which reads as follows, I quote, "The guy of the funding in bracket 20 is also in Joburg from Tuesday. He is the one I said has a 3 billion contract with SAPS." Close quote. Open quote, again another message. "I am also meeting with the DNC and the COS today." Now, in the abbreviation, the DNC in the South African Police Service is referred to as the Deputy National Commissioner, and the COS will be, in this regard, the Chief of Staff. He says, "I'm also meeting with the DNC and Chief of Staff today in Durban for finalization of Khumalo and General Mkhwanazi's matter." Close quote. Another message reads, "DNC is waiting for the Chief of Staff here. This is very significant." Close quote. This is extracted from the communication of the arrested person. So we ask ourselves a question: is there a theory of conspiracy targeting senior officers involving the Minister of Police in this country?
These were damning allegations by a senior police officer against other senior SAPS managers as well as a sitting minister. The president had little choice but to launch a full judicial inquiry. Having made these allegations, it was no surprise that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi was the first witness. He described what he characterized as a police service under siege from within. He alleged, among others, that criminal syndicates had infiltrated parts of the SAPS, that intelligence linking senior officers to organized crime was ignored, and that honest officers were marginalized or removed from sensitive investigations. Mkhwanazi told the Commission that attempts to raise these concerns internally were met with resistance, silence, or hostility. He denied claims that he acted politically or outside his authority, insisting that his conduct was driven by professional obligation and concern for institutional integrity.
We must try and arrange a meeting with the minister so that we can be able to tell the minister about the consequence of the letter that he has written and the factors that made the minister to consider arriving in this conclusion and the drastic decision to disestablish the team. Because in my views, it was an irrational and irregular. The decision was going to have a serious impact, as I said, in terms of the investigation of crime and those cases that were before the team. And also in the main, because I, as per the Constitution, given the responsibility to make sure that policing is done in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and the population of over 12.5 million, were going to look at me as having failed them. So the consequence of a sudden stop of investigation was going to impact on us as the South African Police Service in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and myself as a person responsible for the work that needed to be done.
And what, do you know whether or not the National Commissioner acted on your request to engage the minister and establish the issues that you've highlighted?
Well, I did not hear from the National Commissioner after that. Commissioners, as the time were progressing, I did not, he never really came back to me to tell me what is the next course of action, but it continuously signs of the extension of the deployment of the team in the province, regardless of the letter.
you took some resolutions following the National Commissioner's failure to report back to you on any contact and conversation he may have had with the minister. What were those steps you took?
Part of the, if I hear the question correct, Commissioner, on what I did after speaking to the National Commissioner, not able to come back to me.
Yes.
I said earlier I had engagement with the Chief of Staff right at the beginning because he's a person I knew very well. And I even requested the Chief of Staff that he must try and arrange a meeting with the Minister so that we can be able to tell the Minister about the consequence of the letter that he has written. And after engaging with the National Commissioner, I did not leave it there. I continuously tried different individuals outside the structure of government, people that I thought the Minister might listen to. I tried to engage them, to try and reach out to the Minister so that we can talk about this. But that did not give me any success. I then took a decision to engage the Minister directly in the form of a WhatsApp that I sent him. He acknowledged that and he was to set up a meeting, but to date, that meeting never materialized.
National Police Commissioner Fannie Masemola, for his part, testified that Minister Senzo Mchunu had exerted pressure regarding the future of the Political Killings Task Team, or PKTT. According to Masemola, he opposed the outright disbandment of the unit and believed its investigations remained critical. He said he warned that sudden closure would compromise cases. Masemola told the Commission that the Minister insisted on the team's termination. In response, he proposed a phased closure, which he presented as a compromise to protecting ongoing investigations. In making this disclosure, Masemola implicitly raised concerns about ministerial overreach.
If you look back on the letter, it did say disestablish immediately. I refused to do that, hence I said to my team, don't do it. I come back, I seek audience. The audience don't come, and eventually when it comes, it's still insistence on do establish. And by that time, of course, I'm not aware of that the December operation gave effect to the disestablishment of the team. But of course, I'm seeking answers. Why is this team being established? And I've got no other assistance where to go to. I've got this team, I've got this minister, and he insists on this establishment.
General, so, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful.
I agree, Commissioner.
So I just do not get you. I do not follow you. It's unlawful, and you told us this morning that if an unlawful instruction were to issue from the minister, you would disobey it. Now here's one. It's unlawful at paragraph 161 and at paragraph 188 of your affidavit. You say the instruction was unlawful. So why obey it if you've told us that you would not obey an unlawful instruction? It's a simple question. I don't quite get your answer.
Okay. No, I agree, Commissioner. I do understand what the Commissioner is saying. That yes, I said I will not agree to it. But what I'm saying is that if you were sitting in my position where I was, and this minister is insistent, without the hindsight of knowing later, because the commissioner now is advantage in that you have got the before I know the December operation of the 6th, how it impacted on the disestablishment. And also say, no, I'm not going to comply with this instruction, which I did to an extent, made sure the team is not disestablished immediately, that I was successful. And eventually, without any other help, and with this minister here in front of me, insisting, I had to end up saying, well, if we do it your way, I don't accept, but let's rather do it my way. Probably as we go along, I might find motive, and kept on saying, but Minister, why are you disestablishing this team? I kept asking that question all the time. I did acknowledge, Commissioner, that yes, initially I refused not to comply with his instruction. But after having no any other way, and life goes on, this man is here in front of me, he wants the team disestablished. There is no any other help. So what do I do? The only way that I did was, no, if you do that, you do it my way, not your way. Because
maybe then, I hope I won't sound as being facetious. Maybe then you should have qualified your answer of this morning and say, I would not obey an unlawful instruction unless the minister breathes down my neck.
Unless?
The minister breathes down my neck.
Okay. I hear, Commissioner.
Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo delivered some of the most direct allegations heard in open session. He testified that intelligence reports linked General Sibiya, the Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, to known organized crime figures, individuals identified as syndicate leaders, and networks implicated in serious criminal activity. Khumalo told the Commission that these were not vague suspicions. He said intelligence suggested repeated and structured interactions and that the information warranted urgent investigation. He further provided evidence of a direct link between Sibiya and syndicate leaders as well as known criminals.
Who is the person that we can see in the video that's exiting the white BMW?
The person that we see exiting the white BMW is a Sergeant Nkosi.
Okay, so that's...
He just arrived in the premises of Katiso Molefe on the 27th of November. Okay. So the vehicle that is projected there on the video, I think we are still going to see it much closer. It is the vehicle, it is an SAPS vehicle that is allocated to the office of the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Sibiya. Mr. Sergeant Nkosi did not spend much time there. It was less than 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, the timestamp says 16:40, and the previous video was 16:31, so it's about 9 minutes.
Yeah. And then we noticed that when he was arriving, he did not have any bag with. So now this second video is showing, okay, maybe standing there, it's him and Mr. Katiso Molefe, who is then accompanying his visitor back to his car. And then we notice that the sergeant is now carrying a white paper bag. Unfortunately for us, it's not transparent, so as we can see what type of chocolate is in there. But he is having a bag that does not look like it's heavy, but it has got some contents. Then we will use lots of analytical minds to check what is it that you can carry in such a carrier bag with value, but it's not that heavy, as then the picture is like he just came in to collect something that was already packed and waiting for pickup.
Some of the most chilling evidence was provided by investigators who came face to face with criminals and were directly threatened. Witnesses A, B, C, and D's testimony was given behind closed doors due to safety concerns. Witnesses B and C made specific allegations of criminal activity, including police involvement in drug trafficking networks, interference in murder and political killing investigations, gun running operations, and protecting suspects linked to extortion and taxi violence. They named individuals, described meetings, and detailed incidents where investigations were allegedly deliberately derailed. Both witnesses testified that they feared retaliation and believed internal accountability mechanisms had failed. Here is witness B describing some of the ordeal she had suffered.
As much as we got the opportunity to have to tell the commissions of our encounters, we are not the only ones. Maybe we are the mouthpiece of the rest of the police officers out there who are striving to do the right, but find themselves in a situation whereby they were given the circumstances, they giving them the option to either do the right or to die, of which it's unfair, because some of us, when we joined the police, it was not by mistake, and we do believe that we were placed by God to do the right thing. And now, if you want us to make that call, to say we do what we're not called to do or we die, it's a difficult situation. Nobody's having a spare life. We only have one life. However, we really want to make a difference. What makes me now, I don't want to cry, right? But what makes me emotional the most amongst these cases that we've been investigating, the pictures that is depicted, it works on you. And even mostly after some years, I've been visiting these families. Most of them, they have cried on my shoulder, and they had a hope that will do a difference and that will bring justice. Even the ones that are not yet at court, but they even support the ones that are at court because they understand the pain. They're hoping that we'll also solve their own crimes. But when we're supposed to do the right thing, we're having challenges from the offices that they shouldn't be challenging us, from the offices they should be supporting us.
One of the most damning pieces of evidence was provided by witness D, now known to be Marius van der Merwe, who was hunted down and killed by unknown gunmen 2 weeks ago. His evidence implicated senior Ekurhuleni Metro Police officers, SAPS and private security officials in corruption and criminality.
I then went into the bedroom where the suspect had been taken to by the Brakpan SAPS members with Viandre Pretorius. I noticed Viandre Pretorius, the suspect, with a plastic bag with the two SAPS Brakpan members assisting him from the right-hand side of the double bed. Tubing is where a plastic bag gets placed over a person's head, and that person gets suffocated to the point that he talks or cannot breathe, no longer breathe, and then obviously that we will, or they would obviously then ask him to talk to us, obviously to avoid this from taking place again. I entered the room and sat next to the suspect on the left-hand side of the bed. When Andre stopped, I asked the suspect to tell me where the stolen stock was being kept. The suspect replied that he will show us. I picked up a wooden table leg that was broken from inside the room, held his legs down with it as to not touch him with my hands as he was wet. Andre then continued tubing in with the one unknown Brakpan SAPS member, helping to hold him down, while the other was searching the drawers, etc. I got up and left the room. The other people were still searching the room. It was quite clear, or they asked my apologies. They would obviously then ask him to talk to us, before, obviously to avoid this from taking place again. I entered the room and sat next to the suspect on the left-hand side of the bed. When Andre stopped, I asked the suspect to tell me where the stolen stock was being kept. The suspect replied that he will show us. I picked up a wooden table leg that was broken from inside the room, held his legs down with it as to not touch him with my hands as he was wet. Andre then continued tubing in with the one unknown Brakpan SAPS member, helping to hold him down, while the other was searching the drawers, etc. I got up and left the room. The other people were still searching the room. It was quite clear, or they asked my apologies, Commissioners. It was quite clear at this stage that the stock from a warehouse robbery was not in the house. As I entered the passage towards the kitchen, I saw one EMPD officer taking a bucket of water to the room where the suspect was being kept. In the kitchen, I found Kershaw Lee's stalls searching the cupboards. I walked out of the house and stood on the steps. A short while later, I walked back into the kitchen and found Kershaw Lee on her phone. She ended the call and shouted for everyone to move outside into the yard and went towards the second bedroom. As I moved towards the door, I noticed two unknown Brakpan SAPS members leaving the house in haste. One of them was carrying a small black sports bag. I exited the house. I was joined outside in the garden next to the truck by Kobus and the others. Shortly after this, Andre and Kershaw Lee joined us. I asked whether a suspect talked, and Andre responded that he will never ever talk again. A discussion between the law enforcement members then took place as to how to deal with the scene. Kershaw Lee tried phoning a paramedic to declare the suspect dead. Andre approached me and informed me that he will phone General Feroz Khan to fix this. I in turn responded and said no, as this is Andre's problem. He responded and said it's all of us in this, and if anyone talks, he will go to prison for killing them. I walked away from Andre, and I walked away from Andre, as myself and Andre have had issues in the past. I saw Yaku Hanekom walking towards us. Yaku then informed myself and Andre that the chief will come and sort out the issue.
Van der Merwe is also said to have been involved in the fight against illegal mining operations. Some believe that it was his work there, instead of evidence at the commission, that led to his cold-blooded murder in front of his family. And then there were the implicated men and women. Until Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's dramatic media briefing of July 6, Senzo Mchunu was regarded as a serious contender for ANC presidency when Cyril Ramaphosa leaves in 2027. In fact, evidence shows that it was his pursuit of this goal that led him to get entangled with characters like Brown Mogotsi, whom we shall speak about shortly. During his appearance, Mchunu firmly denied allegations made by Mkhwanazi, Masemola and others. He rejected claims that he improperly interfered in SAPS operations, ordered the disbandment of the PKTT for ulterior motives, or acted to shield criminal networks. Mchunu maintained that his role was constitutionally limited to oversight, and that any guidance he offered was policy-based and lawful. Yet he found it difficult to explain the rationality of his timing, methods, and insistence on the immediate closure of the PKTT. Here he is under cross-examination by Commission Chairperson Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga.
Minister, I'm asking about a person that would have been best placed. I'm not asking you about what was done or what was not done. Who is the person, who is the functionary that would have been best placed to brief you? That's a very simple question, Minister, please.
It is the National Commissioner.
We all know you did. We all know that you took the decision without asking him to brief you on whether the PKTD should be disbanded. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, if he was the person best placed to brief you, why did you not ask him to brief you?
Now, this decision, as I say, flows from the 29th, when I finally took the break. 29, 30, 31, I write.
29, when you finally did what?
29 December.
When you finally did what?
When I finally took the break to reflect on what we had been doing all the time. So I reflect on the 28th, I reflect on the 30th, and I say, let me issue this directive, and then we will start engaging after. And in the meantime, there would then be space for all of us to engage. If it comes to a point where we have to review the decision through the preliminary report or something else, that I would be prepared to do.
If you were open to a review, what was the big rush?
Pardon?
If you were open to a possible review which could have resulted in the reversal of the decision, what was the big rush? You say 29, 30, 31, you decide. What was the big rush? What was the big rush, Minister?
The rush,
yes,
if I could use your words, Commissioner, was to give an indication that what was supposed to have happened before and the wrongs that were going on in terms of budgeting and so on, let us discuss those at the beginning of the year, but the decision is being taken that we disband, and so that we now focus on the decision, whether we agree, all of us, on this, or we don't agree, it would be fine. I was flexible and I was open to that decision, but don't postpone taking a decision at the time that you think you need to take a decision. And I didn't see anything wrong in taking the decision, but open and flexible to whatever that could come after the engagements. There are decisions there are instances where decisions have been taken and you say this decision needs to be taken in the interest of the public, and then we will consult. There are such instances that have happened in government.
Minister, I still don't understand that explains the big rush, especially if you say that you were open to being convinced that the decision ought not to have been taken. Why start with a decision and await a possible reversal if you are convinced? It just gives me the sense that you were in a terrible rush. So my question stands, why the big rush? Why this terrible rush?
I wouldn't...
I don't understand.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a big rush. It merely was an exercise of the power to issue a directive which I could use and then have a discussion. I didn't see anything wrong
Minister,
with a decision and then we discuss.
Minister, you ministers don't issue directives for directives' sake. Why could you not rather say to the National Commissioner, I am minded to disband the PKTT. Please tell me why I should not do so, and only disband the PKTT if you were not satisfied with the reasons that he gave you. Why did you not do it that way? I just don't understand this inverted decision, as it were. Decision, but I may be convinced to reverse it. That doesn't make sense to me. Why did you not say to General Masemola, General, I'm minded to disband the PKTT. Give me reasons why I should not do so.
Well, I didn't think that particular way, commissioners. I thought that I would give the directive and we would sit down and have a discussion as indicated in my letter. And I didn't think that was constituting any offense or that it was in breach of any law, as it were, or in breach of the Constitution.
Minister, did you not realize that the disbandment of the PKTT would have serious implications, both in terms of the work that it performed, in terms of all the dockets that it handled, at all of the various stages at which they were? Did you not realize that?
Well, I didn't write anything about dockets.
This was not a decision like, let us buy a generator for the department, you know. It was not that, yes, that too has financial implications, but I think the implications of disbanding the PKTT would be far-reaching. Do you accept that that is so?
I didn't indicate anything about dockets because I understood that when I issued the directive, it doesn't have immediate implications on what was happening in relation to dockets, and it wouldn't have, because that would be a subject of discussion in the preliminary report and subsequent meetings that would take place. This was a mere decision to say, let's start the process of engagement, in other words.
Insofar as you were concerned, the effect of your decision would be down the line, as it were.
That the effect of my decision
Yes.
would be assessed properly, engaged on after the decision in the preliminary
If it were to take effect, and I'm saying if it were to take effect because you say there could have been the possibility of a reversal. So if it were to take effect, it would take effect down the line. Do you accept that?
If there would be,
if your decision were to take effect, it would take effect down the line. Do you accept that?
yes, I accept that.
Yes. This takes me back to my question as to, it's not as if once you said disbanded immediately, your decision would take effect immediately. So if that were the case, I go back to my question, why did you rush and say disbanded immediately? Why did you not invite input on whether there should be a disbandment at all?
Commissioners, the letter itself, as I've indicated, clearly got written with a fair space for engagement. As I said before, it was not to say stop everything as of now, minding that it was 31st of December, and it says let's engage through the preliminary report.
Exactly my point.
Yes.
Exactly my point. Why not engage before? Why rush to the decision to disband immediately? Exactly my point, Minister.
So far, only evidence related to the reasons for the closure of the PKTT has been presented to Mchunu, and he is expected to return in the new year to answer accusations that he acted on behalf of crime syndicates. After threatening that men would cry when he finally appeared at the commission, Brown Mogotsi turned out to be all talk and no substance. When his day finally dawned, he made ridiculous claims, including that he had been in the ANC's Umkhonto weSizwe and that he was a police informer and crime intelligence agent. Yet he made serious allegations against individuals like Mkhwanazi and Khumalo without presenting any evidence. This led to these remarks by Commissioner Sesi Baloyi.
I come from a position of concern that you are making statements, even in this short exercise of cross-examination, none of which is backed up by any investigation on your part, that you can produce the facts to us and say, here's proof. We know that you are close to Ket. You've told us you were with him. You don't have an affidavit from him that confirms that conversation, and that he told you, that you spoke to him and he told you what you say. We have only your say-so. And I'm concerned that we may well be grossly irresponsible and reckless as a commission, that we've given you a platform where you're making all these statements and you present them as facts and you keep saying, I'm here to help the commission, when in fact they're not backed up by any facts or even basic investigation on your part. For me, as a commissioner, that's a matter of concern. Do you accept that you're making statements that you have, for whatever reason, you're not backing them up with facts, even just this little bit about payments to Mkhwanazi and to Masem, to General Cele? It's not backed up by facts. You accept that?
I accept that, Commissioner.
And you accept that's not helpful to the Commission if we don't have facts from you?
If the Commission is a fact-finding body and I give you information, I'm giving it that Commission can investigate. I gave example about the Boko Haram and the crime intelligence presentation.
No, allow me to stop you because I know you've got many topics that you're discussing. I'm worried that we don't end up discussing something that I wasn't raising. I'm raising with you a very specific thing. You said yesterday, Madlanga told you that he went to Umhlanga Ridge and that was General Mkhwanazi's home. Now, if you've been following the work of the Commission, you would know that General Mkhwanazi testified that his home is in Hillcrest. So you'd have done a basic inquiry with Madlanga. Are you sure that's his house? Because in the commission, this is what he said. You did not do that. And then you come here, you don't interrogate him, but you come here and then you put it out there that payments were made at his house, or something was given to him at his house, and these allegations were made at his house in Umhlanga Ridge, and there's simply no evidence from you to back up those allegations. And these are serious, they have serious implications for people, and I think we should be concerned that you may be using this platform, at least to some extent, such as this. You're using this platform to make allegations like that, which you're not backing up.
Then we had the suspended Ekurhuleni Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. This is a man accused of such serious offenses as covering up a murder and providing the police's blue lights to a security company belonging to criminal accused Ket Matlala, among others.
So, when you gave this memorandum to Mr. Chris Steyn, it was more a case of you making out as though there was in existence a memorandum of agreement, correct?
No, it's not correct, Madlanga.
You know, when you look at this document, there are two different documents. The other one is saving my only signature.
But is the content different?
No, it's not the same. The other one
is the content different?
Yes, can you go to both documents? The other one is saving, and you even raise it, my signature and Vus Matlala. And there's my signature.
Only his name, but
yes.
not his signature. But is the content different?
I wanted to say that. Yes, the content,
sorry.
The content is not the same.
The content or the content differs.
Yes, the other one is saving 3.
It doesn't matter. None of that matters, Mr. Commissioner. None of that matters. You have admitted that you gave that document to Mr. Christine. That's what matters.
Oh, yeah.
And that document purports that there is in existence a memorandum of agreement between between CAT VIP protection and the Metro. That's what matters. And you have agreed that you gave that document to Mr. Christine. So let's not go back there.
Okay.
Now my question is, you, having given that document to Mr. Christine, you were making out as though there was in existence a memorandum of agreement, correct?
That's not correct, Pamela.
Why not? Purely because this one does not bear signature?
No.
Why should that matter? Because you have accepted that you gave that document, signature or no signature.
No,
You've accepted that you gave that document to Mr. Christine. So why should it matter?
After that, your sentence says, when I went to Chris, created as if there is. Or in fact, I lied to Chris. Let me say so.
Was there a memorandum of agreement in existence? There wasn't. There
Yes.
wasn't. Not so. There wasn't. There wasn't.
That's why the
No.
document's not
Please,
inside.
let's not speak at the same time. There was no memorandum of agreement. There wasn't. Correct?
You are correct, Debo.
You have accepted that you gave that document to Mr. Christine, correct?
Yes.
And that document purports to be a memorandum of agreement, correct?
Yes.
So why would you deny that you were making out as though there was in existence a memorandum of agreement?
No,
a yes just must follow as a matter of course. Correct?
You're cornering me, Bob Madlanga.
Correct? All right, I'll leave it at that. No answer.
The question one was left asking after his appearance was, how did this man ascend to such high levels in the country's security establishment? What emerges from the Madlanga Commission so far is not consensus but collision. Senior generals are accusing one another and in some cases accusing the political executive of conduct that undermines the rule of law. Those accused deny wrongdoing and point to institutional dysfunction, poor governance, and factionalism. The interim report now before the President will shape what comes next. Whether these allegations lead to prosecutions, reforms, or yet another unresolved chapter. The Madlanga Commission has exposed something rare in South Africa's public life. Senior officials speaking openly and sometimes accusingly about how power really works. The question now is whether the system has the will to confront what has been revealed. In a media statement confirming that the Commission has now submitted its interim report to the President, Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels vowed that they will continue with their work despite the efforts of some elements to derail it.
Mr. van der Merwe's murder serves to remind all South Africans that there are certain criminal elements who are determined to undermine the rule of law and who do not want to be held accountable for their actions. The Madlanga Commission will not be intimidated, and we urge the relevant law enforcement agencies to track down and bring to book all those who seek to undermine the work of the Commission and the rule of law in our country. The Commission has also been encouraged by the fact that more witnesses have come forward to assist in getting to the bottom of the allegations of criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. If they are found to be true, these allegations hold grave implications for the rule of law, and the Commission will leave no stone unturned as we seek the truth and make actionable recommendations to the President.
There was a lot of skepticism when President Cyril Ramaphosa announced the establishment of this commission. So what do you think? Will the relevant authorities act on its recommendations, or will it end the same way as the others, where little action has followed? I have a feeling personally that it will be difficult for the president not to act. For example, he has to decide on the future of suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. What does he do about the accusations of senior police generals working with criminal accused persons? If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, share, and comment on it. For those who are not yet subscribers, please consider doing so. That's it from me, Joseph Musia. See you in the next episode.